Well, might as well start this thing off. Hello, and I'm Kelly Young, and this is going to be my first of many to be coming midnight showings of movies. Today we're going to be looking at Transformers 4. Hell of a way to start off a new show, right? So let's start off by saying this was a bad movie. But it was not unwatchable. I know, it seems like a contradiction considering how bad the last two movies, Transformers movies, have been. Alright, so let's start about the good things. The casting on this one has definitely improved. If there's anybody who's been... Alright, so we've already gone over all the problems with Shia LaBeouf between 1,000 different critics on 1,000 different pages in 1,000 different worlds, including YouTube alone. So, what was the final verdict? Mark Wahlberg is better than Shia LaBeouf. As a main character, as anything, he's just better. And it really shows. His character in this one is playing a inventor who's a single parent. Like, we haven't seen that. God, too many cliches, just way too many cliches. But he's legitimately an eccentric one, which is different. He buys junk and he turns it into, hopefully, an invention he can sell for millions of dollars. He has yet to get one, so he's basically a loser. But a likable one, unlike other characters. Stanley Tucci comes to mind. Stanley Tucci is your typical bad guy, corporate espionage. He plays it very well. He is horribly, horribly unlikable in this film. But that was his intent. So, I give him credit for that. He purposely acted as unlikable as possible. It wasn't the screenplay. He purposely did that. And the other main characters, the bad guy, I can't think of his name. Fraser, he's played by Brendan Fraser. He also did Beast. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. I'll post it in a minute, and maybe I'll even Google it on my computer over here. But he plays the CIA hunting all Transformers, and so main star actors, hell of a plus. Focusing on the good. We actually got to know the Autobots inside this one. They have personalities. Some are still very racist, but because it's against Japanese people, yeah, you'll know them when you see them. It's okay. But they're all likable. John Goodman as Hound was... I'm pretty sure that 90% of everything they say in these films was just them recording random stuff. And it worked. It really did work, especially from John Goodman. Bumblebee still has that voice processor piece of shit, but again, the clips that they play for his audio are, well, short and to the point. It wasn't like in 2 when he had to give a speech through incoherent audio clips that were all, 60 kilohertz rather than the usual 320. But it was definitely an improvement. And Drift, as much as he is a Japanese stereotype, I loved every second he was on screen. He was very enjoyable. Again, horribly racist, but at least he wasn't Skids and Mudflap. There was a green one, they never said his name, but he was basically a mercenary. He acted like a mercenary, and it wasn't until Optimus Prime's major speech that we got it. Again, these guys actually bicker like they're an actual team. We get to see more from Autobots instead of just giant robots fighting. We actually got character development, which I honestly was wondering if I walked into a Michael Bay film or not, because it was really weird. Getting to know Autobots? Aren't they just supposed to be there to die? Except for Bumblebee. Bumblebee's the only one we care about. But other than Bumblebee and Optimus dies a lot. I mean, I thought they were going to kill him off again at the very beginning, it seemed like it. But we actually got to know them. which was really good. And you can actually tell the difference between the bad guys and the good guys in this one. And it was easy to determine who was fighting who. Although, truth be told, that does kind of lead to a downside. More good, more good. The effects inside of this one at first seem a little cartoonish, but as they progress, they got a lot better. I don't know what happened in the first part of it. Maybe they just forgot to render parts. But yeah, they seem really stagnantly out of place. And it was pretty bad at the very beginning. But as it progressed, got a hell of a lot better. And I'm just going to say, Optimus Prime riding a dinosaur. The motherfucking T-Rex. Enough said. Enough said. Going on, what else was good about this film? Other than that, not really much. Alright, let's start with the bad. The obvious, Michael Bay is still directing this thing. All of his cliches and tropes still come through horribly. We get another highway scene that goes nowhere. This film is filled with moment upon moment that's just pointless. That's obviously there just to pad this film out and make it an hour longer than it should be. Okay, maybe not that long. More like 45, maybe 40 minutes longer than it should be. It wasn't as bad. And going into the characters, the main character cast was casted amazingly. The side characters and extras were not. And they were really bad. At the very beginning of the film, you think he's going to be a main character. He's not. His name's Lucas, and oh my god, I know he was trying to go for surfer dude, but it was just, he overshot that very, very badly. Right into the dickish asshole area, and I'm really glad they killed him off. The problem is they try to make it out to be this big thing. Oh, this is all your fault, Miss Mark Wahlberg. His daughter is like telling him, "This is all your fault, Dad. It was all your fault. He died because you're an idiot. He died because you wouldn't call them and turn in Optimus Prime." And I'm just sitting here, what are you whining about? Lucas called them in to get Optimus Prime. That's why all this shit started. It wasn't Mark Wahlberg's fault. It was fucking Lucas's. I don't give a shit that he dies. He's an asshole. He's an idiot. He's supposed to get some parts. Instead, he goes to the doctor and he calls in the fucking government to come and take them. And it wasn't needed. It wasn't needed. Lucas's role could have been completely erased from this and nobody would have missed anything. Mark Wahlberg finds a truck. He starts repairing the truck. Government tracks the truck. There. Elimination of a character. Now, I said there was a moment upon moment in this that just didn't make any sense, and that does go into these side characters. We get 7 or 8 gratuitous shots of obviously Michael Bay's fetishes. There was a Japanese prostitute in an elevator that was... I heard a couple of people giggle. I think it was supposed to be a joke, but it wasn't. I mean, we obviously knew it was going to happen. There was just more and more, just so many moments, so many stupid things, so many things that are just, we didn't need. We don't need them. Like Lucas, who could have been completely edited out of the film. And it would have made the film better too. Much more likable. Much more likable. There's 2 assistants to Stanley Tucci who are basically useless. One, an Asian one who has connections inside the military that comes into play and results in a pretty funny but awesome fight scene. But I don't know, it just didn't seem pointed. And the biggest complaint that I'm going to give to this film is that it's not just one film. It's 3 films smashed together. There is no beginning, middle, end to this film. It wasn't a solid structure. you have the beginning with the Autobots and whatnot, and this big old mystery is set up as to why they're being targeted and what it's for and how they're going to go across it. And that's resolved in the first 30-40 minutes. Okay, screw that plot line. Now we take, and they play off of the plot that Stanley Tucci's character, who was supposed to be this evil businessman who's creating his own Transformers to revolutionize the world, which, honestly, the world really needs at this point. I don't know how... Also, they show Chicago. They actually have another fight scene in Chicago. After the last film, I'm pretty sure they'd still be rebuilding, but the whole thing looks fine again. But... Anyway, going on, he's built out to be this big old bad guy, and they have to go and find this, they have to make a deal with an evil Transformer from outer space who's not a Decepticon, who's obviously working for Unicron, which is, if you don't know, Unicron's the planet, basically, the planet-sized Transformer who made all Transformers. He's working for him, he's trying to capture Optimus Prime again. But it's a plotline that's completely ignored for another 30 minutes after basically they capture Optimus Prime, and it's... Okay, here's your other plot device. Another ancient artifact. But again, that's end of movie 2. And then movie 3, they're using the ancient artifact. Oh no, but all the evil Optimus... It's not one film. They could have made a trilogy out of this. And they probably should have. With not Michael Bay directing. But they probably should have. For the way that it was directed very well, all things considered. You know, trying to make 3 films into one is tough. I mean, hell, it's not like you can take one book and split it into 3 movies, Peter Jackson. But it's... all things considered, it flew very well. It wasn't a very big structure. There was a structure issue. There's way too much crammed into it, just like The Amazing Spider-Man. But the difference here was they actually played into each other very, very well. And it's carried through okay direction and great acting. Every part, by every person inside of this, every main character, is played very well. The side characters and the extras are the problem here. They don't know how to carry the thing. And it's kind of a stupid thing to harp on, but product placement also inside this movie was bad. I know that a lot of people could say that Man of Steel was the worst, but if and when my YouTube channel, Cardmaster's Corner, gets started and I actually get around to reviewing Man of Steel, I will bring this up too. Their product placement was only done in one scene, and it made the town feel more real. When they crashed into an IHOP, it was an actual IHOP. You felt there. When they crashed into Sears, they crashed into Sears. The only product placement that was annoying in that one was the U-Haul truck that actually had prices listed on it. That was stupid. But, again, I know that people compare the product placement in Transformers 2 and 3 to Man of Steel to show how bad it is. So I'm going to do the actual opposite and compare this one to Man of Steel's. That all had it in just one scene. No, inside of this one, it's throughout. Every scene has some form of product placement inside of it, ranging from sodas to computers to cars especially. I mean, it's Transformers. You're going to expect that. But when they literally linger there for 20 seconds, I'm not even shitting you on that one, 20 seconds on a car with none of the main characters inside of the freaking frame. Just right there, holding it, have some music, have some minor noise in the background that's not even done by your main characters, and then completely cut away from it. That was dumb, and it was stupid, and it's padding. And the editing on this one is horrible on those scenes. The one that really got me, though, was the end fight scene with Bumblebee and a basically knockoff Transformer called Stinger. There's like 20 Stingers and they all die instantly, but there was one and they are going at it and having this really thing. Stinger's supposed to be an upgraded version of Bumblebee. It's basically the same robot, just a different paint job. And in truth, He really was. Bumblebee had to get help from a giant pterodactyl to win. But it was a really cool fight. They're going back and forth, back and forth. Pterodactyl coming in, breaking them up. They're flying everywhere. They're crashing in the building, crashing down, going everywhere, and having this big, cool buddy. And finally, Bumblebee gets his freaking blaster claw thing stuck on his head, and it looks like he's going to do a ripping move. No, he actually shoots and rips, blasting the freaking body through a double-decker bus. And the double-decker bus, apparently the front end is just fine, and it just says Victoria's Secret, taking up a good third of the frame. Now imagine you're in a theater watching this. A third of the... I mean, it's like me taking my Dixie State freaking flag over here and just going like this the whole time and having it perfectly in frame, taking up this much of the frame. And they don't cut away for another 30 seconds. I was having fun with this fight. I enjoyed this fight. And then you do this with Victoria's Secret. Something that should not be product placement in a kid's film. Which these Transformer films, despite everything that's happened inside them, they're still being marketed to kids because they are toys. That's it. There's no reason why these films should be PG-13, but they are. Because they're trying to appeal to the nostalgic side of us. And they want to appeal to everybody. Okay, I completely understand that. But Victoria's Secret in a film that is obviously going to be targeted at kids. No. No. And there are several other moments like that throughout the film. There really are. But that's the one that I just want to break my camera over right now. But all things considered, yes, to conclude, it's a bad film. It is a really bad film. But if I were to compare it to the other Transformers, 2, where I almost walked out, not on Skids and Mudflap, they didn't bother me. No, it was the god-awful softcore. You know, I'm just gonna not even call it. It's not even softcore. It was a fucking tentacle rape scene in 2. I almost walked out. 3, that was just all around boring, with stupid characters, stupid setups, all of the gratuitous shots of basically Michael Bay bitching just how inadequate Megan Fox was because of that stupid breakup they had, and making Shia LaBeouf talk about that. And it's, 3 was just a really bad film. But I can't think of anything that was actually offensive in that film, unlike 2. 2's the worst. This one has some things I consider offensive, but most people are going to let slide just because. But the great lead actors, really great lead actors. The CGI is okay in the later half of the film. For all things considered, as far as an action film goes, it was solid. And there were plenty of moments that just didn't make sense, that go nowhere, that don't have any relevance or point to the story. But it's worth a watch. Not in theaters. Not in theaters. Wait till Redbox. But it's worth a watch. I'd rent it. And, well, I'm just going to leave you at that. You guys can choose whether or not you want to go see it or not. As I said, wait till it's on DVD and rent it. It's not worth it in the theaters. Maybe D-Box if you guys have that. It's basically sound effect share thing. I mean, there's a lot of explosions in this one. And to Michael Bay's credit, I will also say there's a lot of less CG explosions in this one. A lot less. And a lot of actual prop explosions, real explosives. You know, I can honestly say this was probably the best I've ever seen is the Michael Bay explosions. They're real. They actually set dynamite with spokes and things, and they couldn't integrate them very well with the Transformers. There's a really cool fight scene with Hound voiced by John Goodman. He's awesome also. He's a stereotype, but he's awesome. Really, really awesome. And they couldn't blend the explosions in very well there, but it never distracted from the fights. It never made anything horrible. But all in all, see it at your own risk. I'd wait until it's on DVD, but well, until my actual YouTube channel, Cardmaster's Corner, gets up, I'm Kelly, and see you all next time.